Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Tuesday, March 12th, 2019. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss, and here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. The previous session saw a significant trend day up. Major trend day up move here. That followed Friday's rejection day after a pullback below the previous month's midpoint. I mentioned before, after we see a pullback during the first week or so of the month, we may see a buying opportunity that leads to the next round of strength. This was a significant continuation from Friday's rejection, and it was a program-driven trend day that just wouldn't quit throughout the day. That's a major rally. After you see a big day up like this, you tend to see a smaller range day in the day that follows, in addition to range-bound type of activity. Oftentimes you can see a move as price returns back to the previous month's midpoint. Now, if it were to get to this zone or even lower, bulls would want to come in and defend and push it back higher overall, back within the trading range or perhaps even back higher. But for the most part, this is likely a digestion day today, a trading range day as it digests the recent move. If prices start to reject the previous month's close here and signs of a lower high come in, then perhaps that's going to put a lot of pressure on 2761, because any break below there could open up a return down. So again, this market continues to remain bullish overall, and this pullback right now allowed for a nice squeeze here. Is this squeeze going to lead to a rejection of this high, either via lower high or higher high, and down we go, or does this lead to a nice follow through? Again, the short term is sideways to up, and then we'll get more information to see if price can find acceptance above 2800. But for right now, 27.99 is the high, and no luck above 2800 just yet. Here, looking at the NQ, you'll see very similar type of price action, but this one has already pushed to a new high. The previous session, again, relentless to the upside. A lot of tech strength yesterday in the NQ, especially from the cloud group. Our trade and team has worked out tremendously yesterday, and others we've had as well. That was just a massive rally here, program driven trend day. But now you'll see again 7200 failing to hold above that level, a bit of a rejection at the previous high right now of prices above it. And now after a trend day up, you tend to see a sideways type of digestion day, but this one is starting with rejection. That could lead to a little bit of a pullback here, back toward the mid again. So again, right now seeing how much of a rejection, if any at all, we see, or do we see mostly sideways action, say between 71.65 and the 72.30 high? Perhaps we find a range in there. A failure, to hold 7200 and a rejection of that area, for example, right now retesting it from below in the intraday chart, that could provide some downside price discovery today. Okay, let's take a look at crude oil. You'll notice with crude here, we've had lots of tails back and forth. That tells me there's a lot of chop inside this range. This was the most significant tail that occurred, and it was outside the range with the rejection of the low, and it was inside our target zone for bulls to buy. And that led to a huge move up back to 57.5 this morning. First time getting above 57s in a while here. It's been hard rejected over the last week, and even now back at 57.01 as we speak, and still showing signs of rejection here. For the most part, this is a very narrow range that continues to develop. It's holding above a key zone here, and this is really it. If it can't hold this area, we drop big. If we can, perhaps we see expansion to the upside. But for right now, it's stuck inside this range from 55 to 58, and we could continue to go back and forth. At the moment, we've taken the previous month's close offered on the first trading day of the month, and we've taken 57s offered every day since, and here we are again doing the same exact thing, taking the previous month's close offered and now trading around 57.02, 03 as it tries to hold above 57s this morning. So again, if there's a failure to hold above this zone, say any pullback even as deep as 57.20 could still provide a short-term selling opportunity today for a return even a little bit lower. All right, let's take a look now at gold futures. You'll see with gold, We've had a pretty aggressive sell-off. We had a nice rejection day up here, a quick pullback, which we knew would likely be the case. We knew we would test 1300, or thought we could at some point to take out this low, but I also mentioned that I'd watch for rejection here. No rejection occurred, so nothing happened. So once that occurs, you know that there's going to be a continuation until you do see rejection. We saw some modest signs of rejection here. This was much cleaner on a lower low failure, and then big rally that occurred here on Friday. Now we're having our hold digestive days here with an inside day yesterday, and so far today an inside day as well. Typically in that type of scenario, bulls are trying to keep this area bid for a shot at continuing this thing higher. This double inside day can lead to another big day like this to the upside or to the downside if it wanted to fail. Really, it could go either way. Many times what you often see is a failed breakout first. So maybe this thing breaks down and then rejects, and then eventually it breaks to the upside. That would be pretty significant, especially if it were to retest 1287.60 from below after taking a bid here. Maybe a retest gets this thing going back up. So the inside date, something to watch here as it continues to develop, build energy for the next breakout opportunity. Alright, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I will see you in the trading room.